Hey YouTube, Devin here with Comics and Stuff. Welcome back. Happy late Friday / almost Saturday. This is my first time actually filming a video in this new space at night. So I hope it's okay. Hope it's not too weird or bright looking. Sorry for my funny hat. I just realized that I was still wearing it. I got my hair cut way too short this week, but it's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about comic books. So I actually had a question from somebody earlier this week. They asked, Devin, are there any awards in the comic book industry, kind of like, how one would get like a Grammy or an Emmy or whatever have you? Are there awards in the comic industry? And yes, the answer is yes, there are. So I thought I would take this week's video to kind of talk about the different awards in the comic book industry and what they include. So I have my list right here, and it's actually pretty extensive. There's a lot of different awards, and I'm sure that I haven't covered all of them, but I got the ones that are very prominent and stand out that most people know about. First one, starting with the Inkpot Awards. They were first awarded back in 1974, so they've been around for a long time, and a lot of these have been. They were founded by Comic-Con International, better known as the San Diego Comic-Con and that little circuit with Anaheim WonderCon as well, and Ape. They are bestowed upon recipients annually at San Diego Comic-Con, and it's just one award, just the Inkpot Award. There's not like different categories for it, whereas a lot of these awards do have categories. Moving on, there's also the Harvey Awards. So those, along with the Eisner Awards, were born from the Kirby Awards. So there was initially an award called the Kirby Awards, split into two. The Kirby Awards are now ceased, and they have the Harvey Awards and the Eisner Awards. So the Harvey Awards, they were first given out in 1988, and they were founded by Fantagraphic Comics. When the Kirby Awards were discontinued. They are presented at multiple conventions, so not just one, and they are decided by vote among invited and other volunteered comic book professionals. So it's actually kind of like you are awarded it via vote from your peers, which is cool. And they have 24 different categories. I'm not going to go over all the categories because not everybody has time to listen to all 24 categories, but they have 24 different categories, including the induction to the Jack Kirby Hall of Fame, which is cool. And then the Eisner Awards is the same deal, so founded from the Kirby Awards, first award in 1988. They were also founded by Fantagraphics. And Will Eisner actually participated in the ceremony that, in which the people were gifted the Eisner Award up until his death in 2005, so that's pretty awesome. And that one had 30 categories, including induction into the Will Eisner Hall of Fame. Hey. You also have, I think I have like 10 or 12. You have the Russ Manning Award, which was first awarded in 1982. It is presented to a comic book artist whose first professional work appeared in the previous 2 years. So it's kind of like for new comic book artists. And the winners are chosen from judges from the West Coast Comic Club and Comic-Con International, so a combined intercompany award. And it's awarded during the Eisner Awards. So it's like a sub-award for the Eisners. You also have the Ignatz Awards, which was first awarded in 1997. So that one's a little newer. It was intended to recognize, let me read my note. Intended to recognize outstanding achievements amongst independent and small press publishers and creator-owned works that were published by larger publishers. Sorry, that was a mouthful. I do know that it was named in honor of the character the main character in George Herman's newspaper strip, Crazy Cat, Ignatz. And there were 10 different categories. Then there was the Bill Finger Award, which was first awarded in 2005, so that one's probably the newest that I've said so far, and it recognizes writers in the comic book industry, and it is also sponsored by Comic-Con International, as many of these are. And fun fact, it was created by Jerry Robinson. So, hey. There are the Glyph Comic Awards, so those are first awarded in 2006, so I guess that one's newer too. And it recognizes the best comics made by, about, and for people of color. It is presented by the East Coast Black Age of Comics Convention. It's kind of a mouthful, and it has 11 categories. So this one's pretty cool. It's kind of like they call it an outsider award because it's not specifically from Comic-Con International or something. It's for a convention for and by people of color, and obviously they're not they're not exclusive. They're inclusive. They include everybody, but it's kind of one of those like Black empowerment things, and I think it's really cool. There's the Inkwell Awards, not to get confused with the Inkpot Awards, but the Inkwell Awards is first awarded in 2008, and it is dedicated to the field of inking comics, which is pretty awesome. And that one has 11 categories, including induction into the Joe Sinnott Hall of Fame. And then the Joe Shuster Awards, which were first awarded in 2005. They were created and presented by the Canadian Comic Book... gotta read it again. Canadian Comic Book Creator Awards Association. Always a mouthful. It was named after Joe Shuster, who is one of the co-founders of Superman, as you know, and it includes 4 awards, which includes induction to the Canadian Comic Book Creator Hall of Fame. So, lots of halls of fame. There's the Doug Wright Awards, first awarded back in 2005. Which was also created and presented by the Canadian Comic Book Creator Awards Association. It was awarded at the first awarded at the Toronto Comic Arts Festival, and it has 4 categories, which gets interchanged over every year. So there's not always one specific static thing. And then finally, the last set of awards that I want to talk about are the CGC Registry Awards. So there's it basically goes for rewarding people who are most active on the CGC boards and registries. It has 11 different categories, including the CGC Achievement in Comic Book Collecting. So for somebody who has the most well-presented and complete set and is most active and has the most uploads on the CGC Registry boards. But there's also Best Golden Age Set, Best Silver Age Set, Best Bronze Age Set, magazines, Best Presented, Best Custom Set. They have a ton of different categories. And the CGC Registry Awards is something that I aspire to. I'm working on a collection right now, and hopefully someday I'll get chosen. But that's it. So those are awards in the comic book industry. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that this was interesting to some of you guys. I know it's not for everybody, but for those who are curious, there you go. So if you're an aspiring comic book artist or writer or creator, you could potentially win one of these. But that's really it for this video, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. Like always, sorry that the video came so late. And I bid you all adieu. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Friday. And I will see you next Friday.